Welcome back to SurgeCast, the vodcast that inspires creators to be better creators. Thank you very much for joining me. If you're new here, consider subscribing and following the show. My name is John, and on today's show, we have someone who runs a podcast about being an entrepreneur and doing it on the cheap. The show is over 256 episodes deep, and every week she talks to amazing businessmen and women in various industries. Her podcast is called Frugalpreneur. Today, we're talking to Sarah St. John. We talk about her experiences running a business podcast and her amazing branding with everything she does. We talked about what she learns from the entrepreneurs and what her journey has been like so far in the podcast space. So let's get into it. Sarah, thank you very much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate your time.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, you and I, we were talking a little bit earlier, and we've been friends for a long time on Facebook, at least. And
Facebook friends.
yeah. And we haven't really had the chance to do an episode together, so this is like literally the first official episode that you and I got to do together. So welcome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I've been binging your show. Right?
Oh, okay.
Frugalpreneur. And I love it. I love the premise. I love the format. I love, you have a great voice.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And you have on great guests, right? So this morning I just listened to your recent episode that you did with Kimberly Spencer.
Oh, that's one of my favorites so far.
It seemed like you guys had a great relationship, like beforehand.
Yeah, we haven't known each other long. We met at Podfest and then saw each other again at Podcast Movement. And then I think we've hung out. And then I went to, because she lives in Austin. So I went to an Austin event that she was at. So we've really only seen each other in person, like on 3 different occasions probably, but we just get along so well. And I feel like that made a really good podcast interview, because most of the people that I interview, like I usually don't actually know them, so yeah, I had to cut some stuff out though because it got a little silly.
Well, those are the best parts. Yeah, it really did sound like you two had like a relationship where you had some what's it called, like inside jokes, Yeah.
Yeah, there were.
Yeah.
And there was a few of those that I cut out. I'm like, okay, this is too much because people aren't going to really get it, so.
Yeah. Well, what was the whole deal with talking like a Valley girl? Like, what was that?
Oh, with the oh yeahs?
Yeah.
Somehow that started at Podfest. I don't remember why or how. It was at one of the dance parties, and we just started doing that, and it became a thing.
That's awesome.
And so now, so she runs a like a podcast booking agency,
Right?
and so a few of her clients I'm actually going to have on my show, and she had told her team, because I get so many emails that stuff slips through the cracks and whatever, and apparently her team had been emailing me trying to get certain people on, and I somehow missed it. And she's like, well, I'm going to tell them to put, oh yeah, like in the subject line, and that will get your attention. And it does, and it's working. But kind of a funny thing was, I think what she meant was emails that they send directly to me have that. But then her team sent like confirmation emails of the interviews to me and the guests with that subject line, and she's like, oh wow, okay. Be more clear on your instructions, I guess.
Yeah, be more clear. But it's Frugalpreneur. I love the show. You're doing such a great job with it. Just to give the listeners a little kind of grasp on how well you're doing. You have a listen note of 36, right? Which is pretty good. And you're in the top 2.5% of podcasts. Like, that is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to watch it, like, get higher and higher, and then I'm, like,
Well,
waiting for it.
lower and lower. I think that's the, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, true. Yeah,
Yeah.
lower. Hopefully, at some point, it'll be, like, 1 or 0.5, but, that might
Yes.
yeah, that's the goal. Um, and then I also, like, last year got in the top 100 entrepreneurial podcasts, in Apple, and so I did, like, a little session on that at Podcast Movement, so and by the
Nice.
way, you had mentioned my voice earlier.
Yeah.
My voice to me right now doesn't sound great because 'cause I'm congested, so this is not my normal it's not I don't know.
I,
I don't know how it sounds on your end, but
you sound great. I mean, and that's okay. But because this is pollen season, like
Mm,
tis the season,
yeah.
Sarah.
We just all are gonna sound like this right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're a little congested, a little nasal. It's okay.
Okay.
I promise. But going back to your podcast, like, how did you start it? Like, how did you say, well, yeah, I want to start a podcast about business and helping people do it on the cheap and be an entrepreneur?
Yeah. Well, okay, so in 2008, I had 6 different jobs that year, not at the same time, but throughout the course of the year, and realized that I wanted to work for myself. And so I tried like all these different online business models, drop shipping, affiliate marketing, blogging, print on demand, all these different things, and discovered all these like free or affordable like software and tools and resources to run a online business on a pretty tight budget for like under 100 a month.
Mm.
And so I got the idea to write a book called Frugalpreneur. This was in 2019. And then I thought, I should launch a podcast to coincide with the book as, like, an extra marketing avenue, but it was only gonna be, like, 10 episodes just to kinda help with the book, but I got more leverage and traction from the podcast than the book. Love the networking and connections and everything, and so I've been doing the podcast now for 5 years, and now I'm, like, all in on podcasting. I recently launched, like, a podcast marketing agency, and then I go to podcast conferences a lot, and I love the industry so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the podcast marketing agency, that's Podseam, right?
Well, that was the okay, so I had a podcast production agency, and that was
Okay.
Podseam, but now I, have switched gears to just marketing, not the production end, and the name is literally Podcast Marketing Agency because I figured that would be good for SEO.
Yeah, why make it difficult?
Yeah, right.
Man, and it's been working out for you because you seem like you got your stuff together. Because me looking at your website this morning and just, okay, so like in trans, like 100% transparency, like I stalked you on social media, right?
Oh, okay.
And like you seem like you have a huge background in business and marketing and just the design of your website. And I love how things are organized and the different features that you have on there, because I was like, oh, well, that's innovative. I had never seen that before. And like not many podcasters have that, that I've seen. So,
Are you talking about frugal.show? Like the
yes.
website for the okay. Yeah, so a little well, it's not a secret, obviously, but I use Podpage to create that website. So,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know if you've heard of that, but
Absolutely. Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Is it an easy platform to use?
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I haven't used it, but
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
well, and disclaimer, I do work for them a little bit, like, well, I guess it's technically considered part-time, like, independent contractor type thing for, like, customer support and stuff.
Okay.
But, yeah, I love the platform. It just makes it easy, I think,
Yeah.
to have a podcast website.
and I could tell that you have this kind of business background. Like, what exactly were you doing before all this?
Before like 2008, when I kind of started the entrepreneurial journey, oh, I did a variety of things, mainly like customer support for various companies. Let's see. I worked 6 weeks at a vet clinic as a receptionist, but that was the only job I've been fired from, and I got fired because every time someone came in to euthanize their dog, I started crying.
Oh, yeah,
And
that is
after the
sad.
second time
Yeah.
of that, he was like, "Okay, that's enough." Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
that's bad for business. Yeah,
yeah,
I can see
exactly.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Um, oh man, I've done
Have
I
you started your own company before? Or have you been an entrepreneur?
yeah, so I started a bunch of different companies that probably like 30, but a lot of them I didn't really do anything with beyond like creating the website and stuff.
Right.
I would say before podcasting, the two most successful businesses I had was a photography business. That was my very first. Um, and then an online travel agency, which I was
Mm,
actually prior to podcasting, I thought that was going to be like my thing that I was going to do. But then COVID happened and all
right.
my bookings got canceled, and like you don't get paid until the person completes their trip. So like I did all this work and then ended up not getting, and so at that point I was like, okay, no. Yeah, I figured the travel industry might be a little too I mean, normally it's fine, but you never know. A pandemic or who knows what else like just shut it down, and I just didn't want to deal with that. So
Sure. So if I try to take a family vacation, can I still hit you up for cheap discounts?
no, I don't have access anymore.
Ah,
Yeah. Good try though, but I can give
darn.
you maybe advice or something, yeah. I love
Yeah,
to
yeah,
travel myself, so that's kinda how I got into that.
yeah. I have never been outside of the United States, so
Oh, okay, mhm.
yeah, I like mostly I've been up and down the East Coast, and that's it. Like
Oh, wow.
down to Florida, and back up. So,
From
but
Florida to, like well, there's stuff above New York where you are. Rhode Island or something? I don't
right, yeah, and I've never been north of New York, you know. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
and I think the farthest west I ever went was Pennsylvania, and that's it. So yeah,
Oh, so
I don't travel much.
you haven't even been to, like, California or Colorado
No,
or any of that?
no,
Oh,
I want to go. I want to go so bad.
yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe you should do you think you'll ever go to, like, a podcast conference?
Well, we hope to, right?
Mhm.
So, we had just recently went to the podcast movement meetup here in New York City.
Oh, okay, uh-huh.
Yeah, and we met a whole bunch of great people. We met up with Jared from Podcast
Oh,
Movement
uh-huh.
and Tom Rossi from Buzzsprout.
Mhm.
You know, he's going to be actually coming on the show in the next couple weeks. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun. But, you know, it, like this podcast movement event that we had recently went to last week, it was literally the first event ever that we had went to
Mm.
for networking, you know,
Uh-huh.
and we've been doing this for 5 years, you know.
Mm.
So, you know, it was amazing for us to actually go to one of these events and meet like-minded people
Yeah.
and be with it with you know with our people, and
Yeah.
it was nice. It was
So
nice.
so when you say "we" or "us," is it like do you mean your wife, or do you have a business partner, or
Yeah, well, my wife is my business partner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
The answer to
So
that question is both.
right, yeah, yeah. So we co-founded the Surge Media company,
Okay. Oh,
you
awesome.
know, that everything here is branded under, and we try to help other podcasters also grow from, you know, from nothing,
Mhm.
and try to grow and monetize and all that. So, you know, we started the business, and so we had got one of those dot cards. Have you heard about those?
Oh, like the little digital business card?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And the event turned out great. Like I was tapping everybody's phone trying to, you know, give them my contacts or whatever. And the next day I'm talking to Larry Roberts, and he's like, "Yeah, we hate dot cards here at the Branded podcast.
Oh, really?
I was like,
Did
I
he
was like,
give
oh
a
no.
Did he give a reason why?
He says I think he said that it's like forgettable because your contact just gets added to my contacts, and I
Mm.
never really look through it, and
Yeah, that's a
he
good point. I know
yeah.
he on his home screen on his phone, he just has a QR code that I think goes to his LinkedIn.
Yes, and I
Yeah,
thought that was genius because
yeah.
I'm like, I told my wife, I said, screw the dot card. I'm gonna start doing this.
Mhm.
Like I'm gonna do what Larry does. That's so much easier. And
Yeah, I've been meaning to do that and I haven't yet. Maybe I'll do that after this.
yeah, but you're doing such a great job of Frugalpreneur. Like you have been doing this such a long time. You have over like 256 episodes I've seen
Mhm.
on Apple, and that's amazing. Like most podcasts don't go past 10 episodes.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about how you get the tenacity to keep going?
Yeah, I mean, one thing is batching. I try to
Okay.
batch, whether that's like, recording a bunch of episodes in a short amount of time or editing a few episodes in a short amount of time or um, you know, uh although lately there hasn't been as much because I'm caught up on all the batching, so now I am kind of going one by one. But anyway, most of the time I batch. And then so that's one thing. Another thing, I mean, that really just keeps me going, I guess, is like just the networking and connections and even the friendships. Like I love
Yeah.
going to conferences and hanging out with my pod pals or pod peeps, whatever you want to call them. um and meeting people that I already know and have met at other conferences, seeing them again and further developing that friendship network, whatever.
Yeah.
But then people who I know virtually but haven't actually met yet, I love actually getting to meet them at some point.
Hmm.
Um, and then meeting people I hadn't known of before, and then being introduced to all these other new podcasts, and um, yeah, I think that keeps me going. It has a lot to do with just um, well, and of course, when people reach out to you who actually listen to the podcast and
Hmm.
or you get a review or something like that. Um,
Right.
yeah, so it's encouraging to hear that as well.
You do have some really inspirational people on your show. Like they have been like hugely successful. Especially Kimberly Spencer. She's been I would say doing well for herself. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah. So, what do you think is one of the biggest things that you took away from these entrepreneurs? Like, because I know it's a constant learning process, right? So
Mhm.
you're constantly learning new things, whether it be marketing or how to run a business or, whatever. But what do you think is one of the biggest things that you took away from them?
Ooh. I mean, yeah, it depends on what the subject of it is, but broadly speaking, I guess it's encouraging because I think a lot of times, you know, we hear about, and it doesn't just have to do with entrepreneurs, but like some kind of actor or singer, some celebrity, um, who appear to have popped up overnight,
Mm,
and but then, but you don't know the 10 years plus that it took them to get to that point. And I think that's true with like entrepreneurs and their companies and stuff. And it's like you might all of a sudden hear about someone and their successful company and think that it just like happened overnight, but there's been, usually at least one or more decades le- leading up to that. And so I think it's encouraging to know that that's normal, that's the standard, and you know that I can expect that too, basically, and just keep
right.
sticking with it.
Right, because like building let's say a multi-million dollar corporation doesn't happen overnight. It takes a
Right.
lot of work. It takes years of work, and honestly, it takes a lot of dedication.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also did notice with researching you is that you are kind of like always surrounding yourself with entrepreneurs, with business leaders, right?
Mm.
Um, and trying to grow and trying to better yourself and your show, really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I had seen that you're a member on School, which is
Oh
hosted
yeah.
by
Oh,
Hormozy. There you go.
I got the school hat. I flipped it around.
Right. There
Oh,
you
that's
go.
weird. The S doesn't show up very well. Yeah.
Well, I'm a member of School too. I have my own group. And I'm sorry. I just noticed that I'm still wearing the stickers my 5-year-old daughter put on my shirt this morning.
Oh, I just thought it was an interesting shirt.
Sorry about that. Um, but yeah, like I love the School platform. Like I joined, I think like a month and a half or 2 months ago, and I joined this group, and there is so much engagement in the groups,
Mhm.
and they have a lot to teach. It was
Yeah.
very surprising. It's I thought it was going to be very salesy, like everybody trying to sell their course or trying to make a buck, but yeah,
Mhm.
it didn't turn out like that. It turned out to be a nice group of guys, and
Mhm.
what's your experience on School?
Yeah, I love it so far. So I have my own community on there called Amp My Pod, like Amplify My Pod. And
Hmm.
I think if you go to ampmypod.com, it should redirect to the school, and it's a free community. And I'd been thinking about having an online community for a while, and I tried different platforms like the Facebook group, or there's some other mighty networks, or whatever. But I don't know. I like School because it's so, like, clean and easy to, like, navigate, and I love the different features, like, you can add courses, you can add polls. I also really like the fact that, like, when someone joins your group, you can see what other groups they're a part of, or
Right.
you can, like, search and find other groups. I feel like a lot of the other platforms that have, like, groups or courses or whatever, communities, I guess. I feel like you can't really search. Like, it's almost like you have to get a direct invite to something. I mean, maybe you could search for that specific group if you know the name, but like you're not able to discover really other groups. But like
Mm.
with School, they have a way to like discover other community. I guess I should say communities, maybe not groups, but um and so the possibility of being found through search, or I feel like is higher than a lot of the other platforms. Um, yeah, and it's getting more and more. Like, I know when I first heard about it. Well, are you familiar with Dan Henry?
No.
He's an entrepreneur. Um, so I first heard about it from him, and then I joined his community or program, whatever,
Hmm.
that's hosted. Well, it was originally on a different platform, then he had to switch everything to School. And that's how I first got familiar with it. I was like, "Oh, I love this platform." And then I was like, "I'm gonna just start my own community on here."
And has it worked out for you, like as far as networking goes?
Yeah, I feel like it has. Currently, I have, I think, almost 80 people in the group.
Wow, that's awesome.
And then I host like a 2 times a month a live, either like I'll have a podcast expert come on to talk about some particular subject within podcasting. That's
Okay.
every once a month, and then also once a month, so 2 weeks apart, is like some sort of software demo. Like, I
Mm.
had Cast Magic, and then, there's others lined up where they come on and kinda do a screen share of how their software works and stuff like that.
Awesome. So can I join your group
Oh,
on
yeah.
stage?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Awesome. I will definitely be doing that. And I will link your school group in the show description.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, man. All right. So you have a book. I seen that you put out a book on Amazon called The Frugalpreneur: How to Launch, Manage, and Market Your Online Business for Under $100 a Month.
Mhm.
I will be publishing my own book
Mhm.
pretty soon.
Uh-huh.
How hard was it? Was it easy? What did you think of the process?
So, I actually have, like, 4 books now. That was my first one, and then I did one on self-publishing because I self-publish,
Oh,
and then I did a book on self-publishing, which, uh and then I have
obviously I didn't do my research, so it's
oh,
okay.
no, and then I have a couple of podcast books, but, it's I think it's a fairly easy process, like, to I assume are you self-publishing?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Um, yeah, I did it through Amazon or KDP, I guess.
Right.
Um, yeah, it's a pretty simple process, and
Do you think that the residuals from publishing a book on Amazon is reliable, like month to month?
uh,
I'll take maybe not. Okay.
I mean, I still get oh, I guess they're called royalties,
Right.
but it's not much, you know.
Yeah.
But for me, it was more like it wasn't so much for as a money maker as much of a because I was giving the books out, at least the PDFs for sure, for free. It was like a lead magnet. But then, like my most recent book, 27 Ways to Market and Monetize Podcast, I had like 100 copies printed up and took them to Podcast Movement. mm, that wasn't last year, maybe the year before, and just was handing them out because, like, the print cost, well, for the book my size, which was like 80 something pages, um, maybe 2 or $3.
Right.
And so it's like, yeah, you could give away a 2 to 3 cent business card or a $2 to $3 book.
Hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, that was fun. But yeah, I think it makes a good, I guess, lead magnet more than anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And you know what? I love that you're willing to just give stuff away,
Mhm.
because I'm sure your book is valuable. Like you drop a lot of value in the book,
Mhm.
and you're just giving it away and not charging anybody. So I commend you for that. But
Oh, thank you.
all right, Sarah, we've reached the end of the show where we're gonna get into a little segment I like to call the final surge.
Okay, and
Right.
speaking of Surge, I see you have Surge soda back there.
I do.
Yeah. Are they I know they stopped making them and then they started. Are they still making it?
They are
Yeah.
not still making it.
Okay, so it just had, like, a brief
Yeah, it had a
surge.
brief. Yeah, very. There you go. Yeah, very good. I have 2 cans left. These are unopened, but they are expired. So
Mhm.
they expired in 2015. But yeah, no, it was one of my favorite drinks back in the 90s, and I had to buy it, and
Well, yeah, because that's, like, the name of your brand now, so you
e-
have to have that.
exactly, exactly. That's what the brand is named after,
I
actually.
Oh, is it? Oh, wow.
So my original show is called The Basement Surge, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I'm in a basement.
Mhm.
Okay. This room in specific, is the exact room that I grew up in with my friends, and we played games, and all summer we spent the whole
Oh.
summer down here. Like I bonded with my friends down here, like for
Uh-huh.
a good 5 years, right? And I'm still friends with these guys now 30 years later.
Uh-huh.
So the basement is named after the basement, and Surge is named after the drink because we used to drink the drink all the time. And
Oh, that's so fun. So, that would so the room you're in now was your childhood
hang out. Yeah.
So then, do you live with your parents, or like, did you buy the house from them, or?
Well, my grandparents own the building, right?
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
So I live in a 4-family apartment building.
Oh, okay.
And my grandfather owned the building my whole life, and he always used to let us hang out down here in the basement, which when I was a kid, the basement was already like fully furnished. It was well done. Like the walls were nice. They had like wood paneling on the walls, which
Mm.
I have since painted. But it just this has been a place where me and my friends used to hang out all the time, and it was near and dear to us. So
Oh, that's so sweet.
yeah. But all right, let's get on to the final surge, Sarah. First question is, how do you take your coffee?
Well, iced, first of
Iced
all.
coffee. Okay.
Yeah. And then I used to have to do a bunch of like creamer, whether it was flavored or not. But now the way I've been doing it is like I will buy iced coffee, it's already iced, and then put like almond milk in it, and that's
Mm-hmm.
it. But like if I go somewhere though, any kind of like iced iced or frozen, some kind of caramel situation or mocha or coconut, any of that kind of stuff.
Nice. What are you currently streaming on Netflix or Hulu or on all those platforms?
Oh, let's see. Well, my favorite show, which I'm not currently streaming because I finished and the next season isn't out yet, but Only Murders in the Building
Okay.
on Hulu. Have you seen it?
I have not, but I've seen a lot of trailers and a lot of ads for it. So
Well, I feel like every podcaster should watch that show because it's about so it's Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. They live in an apartment complex in New York City,
right.
and there's a murder, and they all listen to the same true crime podcast. They run into each other, realize their mutual love of true crime podcasts, and then they decided to create their own podcast based on murders that happen in the building. Ugh, it's my
No
favorite show.
way. So
It's so
it
good.
it actually involves podcasting on the show.
Yeah, yeah, I love
Oh,
it.
I gotta watch that. All right. Yeah. You sold me. You got
Yeah.
me.
And it's funny and cute and everything.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's Steve Martin.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So the last question is, what book are you currently reading?
Oh, I'm reading several. I have a bookcase of hundreds of books. Let's see. I'm currently actually reading Sarah Losey's book. Open this book.
Yes.
She's the
Co-host.
co-host of Branded with Larry Roberts. So,
Right.
I'm reading that one, and I can't think of the others off the top of my head for some reason. But there's some new Donald Miller book, Coach, something about coaching, like business coaching, not like sport coaching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I did buy Sarah's book.
Oh.
Yeah,
Sarah Losey.
yeah, Sarah Losey. I bought her book, and the first day I got it, my wife stole it. Yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
she's like, I'm gonna read this. I'm like, okay, but I need to read this for the show because I'm gonna have Sarah on the show.
Oh,
So, she's like, oh, too bad. So I have to wait until she's done now. So.
Oh no.
But all right, Sarah, thank you very much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. It was so much fun.
Thank you for sticking around until the end, everybody. Whether you're listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast listening app or watching on YouTube, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button, follow button, plus button, hit whatever button you got to hit to get notified of fresh episodes of Surgecast. I had a great time talking shop with Sarah. I hope it helped you guys and inspired you to keep kicking ass. All of Sarah's links of everything she's doing are down below in the show notes. And, of course, if you want more out of Surgecast, head over to surgemediany.com. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next time.